In this video, I want to go over some of the things I did to fix this fire pit and also make some improvements and also address some of the comments from my original video. Let me start by saying yes, the concrete topper failed. After about the first couple of fires, the heat got to that concrete enough and just cracked apart, which I'm going to try to fix later in the video. If you are planning to do any type of fire pit like this, I would recommend not putting any rocks or gravel in the bottom so that it's easier to clean out the ashes. I wanted it to be easier so that I could use the ashes to add to my compost pile for the garden. One of the questions was why I put it here. Well, I couldn't put it right here because we have our septic tank and also the drain field that comes out from it. Right here is our gate to get into the back of the yard, and it would have been blocking access. And obviously it's self-explanatory why not over here, because I want to have a garden over here. And the main reason it was asked why I put it right there was because our internet line comes directly under it, and then it also comes back straight to the pole back here. So really, even if I moved it further back into the yard in the middle, it would still be right over top of it. And on the subject of the internet line, well, as you can see, this weed fabric is just fine, not melted or anything, and it was much closer to the fire. So yeah, the internet line turned out to be fine. One of the mistakes that I made was not adding any gravel to the underside of the air inlet tube. So I fixed this by digging the hole down deeper than the pipe to add in some gravel. But before we add in the rock, let's take a look inside the pipe. And as you can see, it was just filled with a bunch of dirt and probably some ashes mixed in there too. And that's another fix I'm going to do, is to cover up the air inlet so that not as much debris gets down in there. So I needed to go ahead and clean this out really good before I continued. Next, I added in this river rock up to the underside of the air inlet. I did drill several extra draining holes into the pipe and the elbow. I added this aluminum tape to not only help hold it together, but also to allow the water to drain over around the pipe. That is why I also added the landscape fabric to assist in keeping any dirt and debris out of the pipe. The only thickness I have left to fill in is the thickness of the pavers right here. I have 2 bags of cement left over from another project I'm also working on. I think I want to have that cement as the bottom. That may crack from the heat, but with it being down in here, those pieces will just stay locked up against each other, and so it should still be easy to clean it out. An improvement I wanted to make was an idea that I got from some friends of ours, where they have a pole on the side of their fire pit which holds a pan or a pot to be able to cook some things over the fire. I first needed to cut some pieces of scrap metal to go on the bottom side of the pipe that is going into the ground. So this is my pipe that'll be going in the ground, and then this is my pipe I already had that will be used to hang anything we might cook over the fire. The issue is that this pipe needs to go inside of this one, and it's just not quite fitting all the way. I have this, like, I don't know, $5 or $10 grinder that I'd got from Harbor Freight a long time ago. I'm going to use this tape to kind of protect the edges. There's a little bit of slight play. Yeah, I think that'll work good. So on to the next step, let's weld those pieces onto the bottom side. This will be the first time I've welded in probably a little over a year and a half, so see if I can still lay a good enough bead. There's the decent one on this side, and then there's the little bit of a good one. Not perfect, but they'll work. So why the third post? As you can see, it was just an expensive way to hold these lights up. Before I continue with putting the pipe in the ground, I first wanted to do another fix, and that is to lower the fire pit ring itself. And to do that, I needed to cut out some of these pavers. So I'm hoping with lowering the fire ring just a little bit, it will radiate the fire heat out more. The reason I added those metal pieces onto the pipe was so that when you hang a pot, there will be resistance in the ground to keep it from leaning over. Next, it was time to pour the concrete, the cement, whatever the technical term is, into the bottom of the fire ring. And I'm protecting the air inlet with a little planter cup. Another improvement I thought to do is to use this venting rain cap. This should not only help keep excess water out, but also keep a lot of the ashes and debris from getting into the vent. The main reason I did put it here is because it's just a really nice view out of our sliding door. Next, I wanted to try making another topper for the fire pit. and this time I was going to put chicken wire all the way through the middle of it. And this just turned out to be one of those ideas that is not working out well. This time it didn't even make it to the fire pit. As you can tell by my expression, yeah, this was pretty frustrating. So I think I've pretty much given up on doing this as the topper for the fire ring. Oh yeah, did I already mention that our internet line is fine? As for the comments saying that the internet line running right under here would get immediately destroyed, 1 year later, we still have internet. Next, I needed to do a little bit more welding to rig up the arm that would be actually holding a pot over the fire. Here's what my first one looked like. It just is a 1 1/4 inch pipe over the 1 inch pipe and has a thumb screw to tighten it into place. After drilling a large enough hole for the bolt, I then welded a nut to the outside of this pipe. Alright, the second one's good to go. And on those little pieces I needed to weld the arm that extends over the fire. Because this is a flux core welder, it gets dirty really fast, so I had to clean it off every now and then. Obviously it could be better, but not too bad for a Harbor Freight tool. And here's what it looks like for those arms to hang over the fire. The bottom one I may end up welding a flat grate to it so it can hold a pan. As for how well the rest of the fire pit's holding up, it's really not been too bad. The only major thing is that the pavers have settled a little bit and caused some cracks in between them. Now to show how well the smokeless part of this works, I'm going to be making a separate video on this fire pit to see how well a fire burns.